Hey guys, I'm Aquaman, and on today's episode, we play with fire. And welcome back. Again guys, my name is Rick, Aquaman on the trail, and it's not lost on me that the fact that Aquaman would be talking about fire. But to be truthful, I am an Eagle Scout and I have spent 6 years as a professional firefighter. So I've been around fire quite a bit in my life. And I think I know a few things about how to make fires as well. Alright, now let's first talk about what is fire. Now fire can be explained using the fire triangle. Fire triangle is a three-part components that it requires in order for fire to function. Now, let's talk about heat sources. Starting with heat sources, there are several different things that will work as a heat source, starting out as matches. Another type of heat source is going to be lighters of various types. Sparking devices. These can consist of both electrical, such as those found on your cook stoves, or manual sparking devices like a magnesium bar with a steel rod. Some of the other various types might be friction devices like a bow and spindle, or rubbing two sticks together, and or compounds, chemical compounds that you mix together to develop a heat source hot enough to ignite. Now, let's go ahead and move on from there to fuel. Now, fuel consists of things such as wood, paper products. It also consists of things such as your canisters, or IC-Pro, which is just a fancy version of propane. You've got propane itself. You also have things such as denatured alcohol. Now, these are all fuel sources that we would use as hikers. Then moving on to oxygen. Now, we may say, okay, oxygen, that's an easy one. It's around us, it's readily available. That is true, it's readily available, but it does change depending on your altitude. Now, here in Central Florida, the altitude is basically sea level, which gives us about a 21% oxygen level. As we go up to 3,000, that drops from 21 down to 18 to 18.5%. At the highest point on the Appalachian, you're going to get up to above 6,000 feet. Now, above 6,000 feet, you're dropping down to about 16% oxygen, which is going to make it harder for fire to function. So you're going to use more fuel to make a fire work at that height. Now, what is fire good for? Well, obviously, one is cooking, and that'll be probably one of our primary use of fire. Another is for heat. On our colder starts, we're going to want fire. It's also a great place to socialize. And three, it produces light. So those are the three main reasons we use fire: cooking, heat, and for light source. So, all right, with that, let's move right along. Next, let's talk about fire starting aids. These are items that will help make fire starting easier. Now, you can use some things as easy as storm-proof matches. Now, why are these helpful? Well, one, they're both windproof and waterproof. So when you fire these things up, there's a coating on them that will help them stay lit even when heavy winds try to blow them out. And they burn very quickly, but you can actually put them into a cup of water, bring them back out, and they'll stay lit. Now again, you have a very short burn time on them, but in the case of having to build in wet or windy conditions, these might be just what you might need. Moving on. Next are wind-resistant lighters. Now this is what a version like an Amon flame, and the neat thing about this one is, one, it uses kind of like jet technology. I don't know if you see it there. So when you go to light something, it puts out a very strong flame that is hard to extinguish by simple wind blowing on it. And so you can get in there. Neat thing about this one as well is it comes with a movable nozzle. So let's say you're trying to get into the middle of a very big pile of kindling that you're trying to start off. You can actually get this in deep, whereas with a match, you're having to throw it in, hope that it catches. This, you can put it right where you need to, under the worst conditions, and you know that you're getting flame, and a very powerful flame, like a jet engine flame, on your kindling to help light it. And although these weigh a little bit more, sometimes that weight may save you in a condition where it's windy and wet and you're really trying to build a fire fast. Okay, again, this is a wind resistant type. All right, next we're going to talk about commercial style fire starters. Now this one's by a company called Duraflame, and they come in a box of about 18. This is what they look like. They're about 2 inches long, about 1 inch wide, and I'm going to show a quick time-lapse video, and this is 10 minutes of burn time. Now, in 10 minutes, it was still burning at the end of 10 minutes. I just cut it off at 10 minutes. But you could see how well it burned and how hot it burned. So it's definitely a good thing that would be useful, or it would be something that would be very useful while trying to set up a fire, especially in damp conditions. And the cool thing is you could probably even cut these in half and use just half of these. So, so you can even double up on how much fire starting you can get with these. Now they weigh about 0.7 ounces, so hardly anything at all. So you can carry about 4 or 5 of these, and that would get you through some pretty cold nights where you want to make a fire. So this again, this is Duraflame fire starters, and a great alternative for using just kindling. Okay, next, this is a old school hiker technique, and it's basically using petroleum jelly or Vaseline. You basically smear Vaseline on cotton balls, and then you light the cotton balls and burn them that way. Now this works great. Again, I have a little time-lapse video here for you and show you burning. Now these last a little over 2 minutes of burn time, and they burn pretty well. And so again, this is old school technique. It's a tried and true technique. So petroleum jelly. The problem I have is handling it. You get Vaseline all over your hands, and just one more thing you have to deal with. So again, Vaseline and cotton balls. And now the last item I want to talk about on fire starting aids is just standard lighters versus long neck lighters. Now this is a tried and true hiker, starting your, lighting up your camp stove, lighting up something to get your kindling started for your fire. So this is again cheap, easy to find, these all over the place, tried and true. But again, these are also handy as well. As I talked earlier about the jet nozzle for the windproof type, this one here will put a flame deep into an area. Or you can, basically do a little bit more standoff on lighting your stove, so your hands aren't there. You have a faulty valve, who knows? As far as getting a pop, this will just go right in there, boom, you got it. Also in a big fire area where you're trying to make a bigger fire, this gets you into the kindling and allows you to get a better lighting. So again, it's pro and con. You can decide, again, weight versus ease of use. And again, this one works for the most part. This one is an older lighter, so it's not as reliable as it used to be, but these for the most part are pretty reliable. So are these can be really reliable. Again, there's a catch on them, so you're not likely to engage this in any way without the safety. So it's nice to have that safety in place. All right, so this is a typical lighter versus a long neck lighter. All right. Okay, now let's talk about the types of fire building materials. Now we have 3 types here. We have our tinder, we have kindling, and we actually have fuel wood. Now let's talk about the different types and what they mean. Well, tinder is what you're going to be using to get the fire started. Now this is going to be things like little leaves, dry grasses, paper, just little pieces of bark. You can even use the fire starting techniques like the petroleum covered cotton balls. And this will burn very quickly, which is what it's designed to do to help get the fire started. And it'll burn hot and quick, So it'll hopefully then transition you over to kindling. Now, kindling is going to be used for building the base of the fire. Now, this is, you're not going to use too heavy of stuff, really lightweight stuff. And this will burn at a moderate amount of speed and heat, and therefore you can start building the coals and the heat sources necessary for it to ignite the larger pieces. Now, the fuel wood, which is what we have over here, can be anywhere between 6 inches and 2 feet long. You don't want to get too much bigger than something like this. And as far as length, now it can be as much as, it can be, logs that are cut if you have pre-cut firewood. But if you don't have pre-cut stuff and the things you're going to be finding, this is optimal stuff right here. It'll burn down to some really hot coals, and once you have those good hot coals developed, that's when you can start doing your cooking. That's what puts off a really good source of heat and light, so you can enjoy a nice campfire. So again, you're going to start with your tinder, move to kindling, and then as this builds, you're going to move on and work on building up with your actual firewood or fuel right here. All right. Okay, and there you have it. Fire making 101. The basics of how to do a fire while through hiking. Wait a minute. We're missing something. You know what we ought to do? How about I actually show you the actual principles in action? All right, and maybe throw in a couple of bonuses. Now let's make a fire. Now I'm going to go ahead and start with the tinder, and again, this is just a light mixing of some dry grass, some leaves, paper. My main fuel source for starting is going to be the cotton ball covered in petroleum jelly. And the paper, now you don't want to carry a whole lot of paper, but what a lot of people will actually do is use their map book, and once they've gotten past a certain section of the hike, we can actually rip out those pages to lighten the load and use those to help start the fire as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put that to the side. And I'm just going to use a lighter to get things started with. But again, you can use a Bic lighter, you can use one of these, you can use the sparking technique, whatever you want to try to do. But let's go ahead and light up. Oh, and also you want to make sure you have your kindling nearby, because as this starts off, you want to be able to start adding quickly, and then you want to have your fuel close by as well. So make sure you have everything ready to go. You don't want to be running away from the fire, trying to build the fire, run away, grab materials. So try to keep as much as you can in the nearby area. Also, make sure you keep either a trowel or something that you can dump dirt on it if it starts to get out of control. All right, you want to make sure you're always in control, and use an organized fire pit, or if you have to, line it with rocks, because you don't want to let the fire get out of control. All right, so let's go ahead and start it off here. We're going to light the... All right, as you can see how quickly it starts up. You want to let that start getting very hot. And with this, now we're going to start adding the kindling to it. You kind of want to build maybe like a little teepee if you can. Now, one thing you can do also to help get things going is, we talked about oxygen is essential for fire, so you can add a little bit more by blowing lightly on it. Alright, then what you want to do is start adding some even bigger pieces. Again, it's just a gradual build, and the bigger pieces will then give you a little bit more burn time as you get ready to start adding even bigger stuff. And again, you're just building up. You don't want to put so much stuff on there that you're going to smother it either. You want to make sure that it's able to start getting enough air and breathe so it will catch. Now that's really smoky fire, and you want to try to not get your face too close. You can also use your sit pads and use that to flame the fire and stoke it a little bit more. All right. Now what we're going to start doing is start building some of the fuel wood. Start building that up around it. And now again, you can start building up the larger pieces. And there you go. You got yourself a campfire. Now for a bonus. Bonus number one, we're going to talk about using a magnesium bar and a steel striker. Now, this was a Walmart set, and it comes with a block, a steel block that has a magnesium bar in it, and then a simple piece of hacksaw blade. Now, there's two ways you can use this. What I have here is just some basic laundry lint. And what you can do, one technique is to simply just scrape off the magnesium using the blade and then light it by striking it. Or the technique that I like to use is simply just striking the magnesium sparks into the lint. And the way you do that is you simply strike down into your material until you get enough in there that'll spark it. And just like that, you've made fire. So again, this is a magnesium block with a simple steel striker. Hey everybody, it's Rick, and today I'm having some fun with fire starting. Yes, I'm doing it old school. I'm going to actually show you guys how you can actually make fire using stick and bow. Alright, it's probably one of the most rudimentary outside of just hand, two sticks rubbed together. It's kind of like the next step up from that, and I'm going to show you how it's done. It's not easy, but we're going to go ahead and show you real quick how it is done. Alright, so you can see there, that's my little pile. That's what I'm going to actually make the fire in. Alright, so you got a little leather patch, and you put that down. That's what's going to catch the ember. And I got my little block here with my little groove in it. Okay, we're going to put that down. Then we're going to go ahead and string the bow with the stick. Now, you can string it, it's really tight, which is what you want. And we're going to lock this into the groove, like so. And then I got a little rock here with a groove in it, and that helps me to stabilize the stick. Now, to also stabilize the block, I'm going to stand on it. Alright, now I'm going to apologize now because it is going to be a little squeaky, so if you don't like squeaky noises, I apologize. So, alright, here we go. Let's see how long this takes me to get a good ember made. Okay. Almost there. And voila, fire. All right, guys. Some rudimentary fire making right there. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Okay, now it's the end of the evening. You're about ready to turn in, and the fire has burned down. What you're going to want to do now is to make sure that it's properly extinguished. Now, you can use your trowel, you can use a good-sized stick, you can use your trekking poles, but what you're going to do is just kind of move the embers around. You want to make sure they're all out. See how these are still, so you're going to want to dig some dirt, and put them out. Make sure all the embers are good and extinguished. If you want to, you can even take some water, pour a little water, make like a little slurry, and make sure all the coals are as deadened as possible before you go to bed. Okay, because you don't want to see it, something blow out of the fire and start a forest fire. All right, so that's Fire 101. All right, hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you out on the trail.